Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a nice little quick update video on Grade A Flicks. Another episode of Grade A Fantasy. I normally do the slate review on Fan Duel, but I'm taking the patient approach. A lot of moves, a lot of injuries still going on. I'm going to break that video up by position. I'm not going to do a whole long video like I did the last 2 years. That video will be coming up soon. Starting with the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and then in one video the tight ends and the defenses. So those videos will be popping up soon within the next week or so. But I wanted to start off with what possibly might be an interesting move, two moves interestingly made within the last 36 hours by the Atlanta Falcons. First, getting Judon from the Patriots, elite sack master for the Patriots. Seems like the Patriots are on full rebuild mode. Judon didn't get the contract that he needed or wanted, so they traded him. So he's still on his 1 year deal, but there's talks of him getting an extension for the Atlanta Falcons. And then on top of that, man, it kind of hurts me to see this. I know that I really wanted the Broncos to keep him, but for them to sign Justin Simmons, they really kind of shored up their defense, and it proved it immensely with these two players. The Falcons, stat-wise, they weren't going to give you much, as you can see when we take a look at last year. When it comes to sacks, I think they probably had, without scrolling the rest of this down, I'm pretty sure they, besides that one game against Indy where they broke out for 6, they're really going to give you 3 or less sacks a game, and they're not really going to give you many interceptions either. They definitely were a punt-style kind of defense. Maybe if you had them that Indy week, maybe it helped you, but the Falcons were never really a defense that you're getting over $4,000 on Fan Duel all last year. But with Judon coming off the edge and Justin Simmons assuring that defensive backfield, going along with last year, going along with their other safety who made the Pro Bowl last year, Jesse Bates, they instantly shoot up as a top defense, and that's now a defense where you can obviously take advantage, because that's now with Judon Justin Simmons. That is not a $3,600 defense. That is not a. This is around $3,600 and lower is pretty much you're getting in punt territory or getting close to it. Really, punt territory is like 33, 34. But starting off with a $3,600 defense at home against the Steelers, not the most prolific offense, or coming into the year, they're making quarterback changes, yes, but still, not the most prolific offense. Atlanta obviously plays better at home. They're definitely one of those kind of defenses, so I definitely like that in the Dome early in the year. After that, unless you're thinking Indy could turn over the ball, and yes, they're a home defense as well, week 1, I don't think anybody's playing. Hey, if you don't think Seattle and you think the magic of Geno Smith is gone, maybe you might play Denver. But Denver definitely got weaker because they're trying to recuperate a lot of the assets that they gave up for both Russell Wilson and to get Sean Payton as their coach. So the defense did take a hit. I don't love their defense like I did last year. I still like it. I just don't love it. And then after that, I don't think you're really going anywhere else. Honestly, throughout the industry, DFS-wise, I don't think nobody wants to go as low as Indy. Or now the Falcons are definitely a popular pick. I think they're good for GPPs. As you can see here, if you start off with the Falcons, your remaining salary per play is $7,050. So you're starting off great there. Plus a defense that can put up some points. As we go back and talk about how the Falcons played last year with their game log, besides that I think they might have had maybe a game or two where they had 4 sacks, but other than that, well, there you go. They had 4 sacks, interception, a couple of fumble recoveries. They had a touchdown here, but they didn't really do much because the touchdown, they only ended up with 12 points. So that one touchdown was half their input. They had a 17. And then after that, you're getting a bunch of 4 or 5s. Once in a while, you're getting a 7. And last year, besides their opening, decent numbers. Decent numbers here and there, but the Falcons didn't really do much. The Falcons were a bend, don't break defense. If you picked the Falcons last year, you were really looking for, honestly, them to not give you a 0 at 3,600. like 3,600, 4,000, 37, 3,800, whatever they were. I don't think there were ever $4,000 defense on FanDuel at any time last year. Whatever the Falcons were, you're looking as low as they were. If they were 32, 33, 34, 36, 3,700, you were at least hoping for them to not give you a 0, and maybe they get like times 2 point something times 3 their value. So if they were 3,600, you were hoping for at least a 9. They were kind of a bend don't break kind of defense or whatever, and they didn't get blown up like that many times. I mean, they gave up 10 here, 24, 20, 17, 19, 24, 28, 31, 25. Hopefully with a better offense that changes, keeps the defense even more fresh. But with Judon and Justin Simmons, it really brings up come on, like, it wasn't towards the end of the season where they started getting blown up. But, they were competitive. They were in games. But fantasy-wise, Judon is going to give them more sack value. Justin Simmons helps them defend the deep ball. I really think that with the 2 moves that they made within the last 36 hours, they are right now, with those 2 moves, I think they're the best cheap defense. Other than that, I don't know what else you would like to go to down under the Falcons. 3,600 with an improved defense. And like I said, Pittsburgh's not the best offense out there, so they're not the most explosive offense, I think. And Atlanta being at home, that crowd's going to be behind them. Very hyped, loud noise. They're happy with the Kirk Cousins move. They're looking forward to see Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts to explode with probably their best quarterback since Matt Ryan, and that was 2016? So 2016, 2017. So a lot of hype in Atlanta right now. And Raheem Mostert said it the best way. Like, when you make the improvement with the young talent that you had, their offensive line, the running backs, and they weren't the most horrible defense. Stat-wise, they look bad. But like I said, as you see there, the Falcons aren't that, they weren't that horrible of a defense. But Justin Simmons seems to be the icing on the cake. When you add Judon there, I said Raheem Mostert. Wow, I can't believe did I say Raheem Mostert? Wow, oh man. I did not mean to say that, pardon me. Their defensive coordinator, excuse me, Raheem Morris, he pretty much feels that the Judon deal on his final year, and at the time that they're getting him, he compared it to the Von Miller deal a few years ago when the Rams pretty much sold everything. They were like, hey, we just need a little bit more oomph to make this Super Bowl run. And hey, that's what they did. And I compare this to this. Now, I still think possibly, there was more defensive talent on that Rams team, obviously, when you had Jalen Ramsey, you had Aaron Donald and such. But, when you get Kirk Cousins on this kind of plan or whatever, I think you're definitely looking to be in Super Bowl contention for at least the next, 2-3 years. I mean, they did sign Justin Simmons just to a 1-year deal. Judon, we'll see if they extend him as well. But right now, it's definitely one of those where you have to say they seem to be going in for it. To me, it looks like a 2-3 year plan. And hey, I love those moves for the Falcons. But yes, with those 2 moves, this is just one of those that, hey, the Falcons are without a doubt the best cheap play. I mean, if you want to go cheaper, like I said, after the Falcons, the Colts, yes. What do you like fantasy-wise? Yes, they're at home. But I think if I remember last year, the couple of games that they had with Houston wasn't too profitable for them in general. If I'm not mistaken, in the game logs, I remember, they played Houston towards the end of the season, only scored 4. And I think they played Houston somewhere in the middle of the season. No, beginning of the season. And, they kept their points right there where it was. So, for fantasy upside, I definitely like Atlanta. I really don't. Unless you feel, like I said, he could be interception prone. He could have one of his turnover days. But Tampa Bay at home against Washington, no. Rams versus Detroit, I don't really like that either. Yes, there was a playoff game, but they wasn't getting much pressure on there. the Rams defense wasn't the same Super Bowl defense as it was, and it was to the point where as long as you occupied Aaron Donald, you were fine. So I really don't see anything there, and anything lower than that. I mean, I guess maybe Carolina, but that's another road defense. That's another road defense going away, and last year at New Orleans ended up with a 3, and when they were home against New Orleans early in the season, only dropped to 7. So you're just looking for fantasy upside. Judon, with his pressure, could provide some strip sacks, some pressure. Justin Simmons is a ball hawk in that free safety range. So best cheap defense right now, guys, without a doubt, has to be Atlanta. You know me, I always like to talk about, I always like during my shows on the defense. Hey, if you don't want to pay up for defense, there's been many times paying up for a defense with a great spot doesn't work out. So what's the defense you want to try and find that's 4,000 and lower? I don't want to get in this too much because I'm saving this for my defensive preview. I am. But right now, as of right now, with those moves, as long as there's no other injuries, of course, I don't think, unless you're pretty much punting and trying to get as many studs as you can in there, I really don't see why you'll go this low to Arizona, New England. New England just gave up a good defensive player, so that's one less pass rusher that Joe Burrow has to worry about. So there's absolutely no reason I don't think you should be going any lower. If you are going lower than the Falcons, maybe Indy. Could you find some reasons for Denver besides price? I don't know. But the cheap defense for week 1, without a doubt, I think they should be plugged into all cash games as for right now. Besides, obviously, defensive up top. But for fantasy purposes and, just to get a little different, besides Cincinnati and Buffalo having a great matchup that could turn over the ball against weak teams, it has to be the Falcons, guys. The Falcons make great moves. And like I said, they were an okay defense. Stat-wise, they weren't impressive. But for fantasy, Jordan Judon's upside, pressure on the edge, solid defensive core, mid-level adequate linebacker. But when you have somebody like Judon there, it definitely brings up an upgrade to the defensive edge on the defensive line and to the linebacking core. So that's just my quick little video on, I just wanted to talk about the Falcons because it was amazing move. So once again, the week 1 slate previews, they will be coming in via position. Quarterbacks first, running back, wides, tight ends and defenses will be grouped together. That will start within the week, maybe by this weekend. Obviously, we'll have clearer pictures of people getting cut here and there after maybe week 2. That's why I might wait to do the quarterbacks after week 2. But I'm thinking of starting the videos this weekend, so definitely look out for the quarterback week 1 preview coming up within the next few days. But once again, hope you liked the video. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Put your comments in there. Are you impressed with the Atlanta Falcons moves? Do you think they're the best cheap defense to pick? Or do you like any defense that's below them? Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. This is Grade A Fantasy on Grade A Flicks. Signing off.